My beloved child, there is something you were never supposed to hear, something whispered in shadows, something that begins with a truth so sharp it can slice through every belief you held about loyalty, trust, and the person you called special. Tonight, as the world slept thinking it was an ordinary night, a story unfolded that was anything but ordinary. A story of a betrayal so unexpected, so stunning, that even the moon hid behind clouds as if refusing to witness it. Your special person. Yes, the one whose name your heart still echoes, made a move that no one imagined. They betrayed a woman last night, but not in the way you might think. The woman they deceived wasn't a stranger. She wasn't an enemy. She wasn't even someone from their past. She was someone whose life was tied, thread by thread, to your own, someone whose tears carried a weight that could reshape destinies. And as the night deepened, as footsteps grew quieter, the truth began to crack open like a secret waiting centuries to escape. But what no one knew, not even your special person, is that the woman betrayed was closer than their breath, closer than their heartbeat, closer than they ever dared to understand. Imagine this: a silent street, a dim light flickering through a window, and a voice trembling on the edge of confession. The woman who was betrayed didn't scream, didn't break things, didn't collapse under the weight of the truth. Instead, she stood in absolute stillness, as if the universe paused with her, while she pieced together a story that wasn't meant to be discovered. The timeline didn't add up. The excuses didn't match. The emotions didn't align. Something felt off, like a puzzle with a missing corner. And then, the truth arrived. Not through a fight. Not through confrontation. But through someone else entirely, a person who knew the whole story, who carried the evidence, who couldn't keep it hidden anymore. They stepped forward with trembling hands and an unsteady voice and revealed everything your special person tried to bury. They spoke about a conversation overheard, a message seen, a choice made in the dark. And when they finished, the room was so silent it felt like the entire world was holding its breath. The woman's eyes filled, not with rage, but with a heartbreak so deep it could echo across oceans. And that's when the revelation hit her, like a tidal wave swallowing the shore. The betrayal wasn't just an act, it was a warning. A sign. A shift in destiny. But what she discovered next is the reason you're still here listening. Because, my beloved child, the woman who was betrayed last night, was not someone random. She wasn't just any woman whose life drifted near theirs. She was you. You were the one deceived. You were the one whose truth was bent. You were the one whose trust was quietly broken while you slept unaware of the storm already forming around you. And yet, here is the twist that no one saw coming: the betrayal wasn't meant to destroy you. It was meant to reveal you. It was meant to show you what you couldn't see before, how powerful your intuition is, how vital your presence is, how dangerous your silence is to those who underestimate you. Someone cried last night, yes, but not just the person who revealed the secret. Your special person cried too. Not because they were caught, but because the moment the truth surfaced, they realized the magnitude of what they stood to lose. Not a relationship. Not a routine. But you. The woman whose loyalty was their shield, whose love was their strength, whose presence was their unspoken blessing. And now, as this story unfolds, as threads connect in ways they never expected, something bigger waits just ahead, a truth that will flip the entire narrative and force even the betrayer to confront what they never wanted to face. Before we continue, open your heart for a moment, because what comes next doesn't just uncover truth, it exposes the layers beneath it. And this part begins not with fear, but with a voice that arrived like a gust of cold wind at dawn: "You deserve to know everything." That was the line spoken by the person who stepped forward, trembling, unable to carry the weight of the secret any longer. Their voice cracked, their eyes glistened, yet their courage held steady. They weren't looking for attention. They weren't chasing drama. They were simply trying to save you from a reality that had been quietly twisting in the dark. They told you how your special person had acted the night before. How their choices didn't match their promises, how their words wobbled like a lie learning to walk, how their actions felt rushed, nervous, almost guilty. They explained every detail, every moment, like they were walking you through the scene step by step, afraid you might collapse if they said it too fast. And as they spoke, you didn't interrupt. You didn't breathe. You didn't move. You just listened, because somewhere deep inside, a part of you already sensed something wasn't right. You just never expected the story to hit this hard. But here's the twist, the shocking part that no one prepared you for. After the truth was handed to you, after the revelations were laid bare, something strange happened. The energy in the room shifted. The person who told you everything wasn't done. They leaned in, lowered their voice, and whispered the part that shook even your heartbeat: "They didn't betray you the way you think." And suddenly the narrative changed. Suddenly the betrayal wasn't about another woman, another intention, or another future. It was something deeper, more emotional, more unexpected. Your special person broke someone yesterday, yes, but the woman wasn't a stranger. It wasn't a third person. It wasn't even a hidden story. The woman was someone who carried a role nobody pays attention to, a woman who trusted too easily, believed too openly, and held on to promises tighter than she should have. And that woman was a version of you. Not the you of today. Not the you sitting here listening. But the version of you who lived in the past, who sacrificed, who stayed, who prayed, who hoped, who forgave. They betrayed the woman you used to be, the one who believed their every word without noticing the cracks forming between them. And then came the moment that sealed everything. The narrator, the witness, the one who revealed this entire truth, looked at you with eyes full of both fear and compassion. They told you there's more coming. A bigger revelation. A deeper confession. Something your special person has been hiding, not because they wanted to deceive you, but because they were terrified of losing you. And while the truth of their mistake broke your heart, the truth of their fear broke theirs. Someone cried last night, yes. But tonight, someone is preparing to come forward. They want to speak. They want to explain. They want to confess everything in their own words. And the next part of this story will decide everything: your future, their fate, and the truth hidden beneath the betrayal. A different kind of silence wrapped around the night when the truth finally began shifting toward its real form, because this part of the story doesn't open with trembling confession or soft whispers. It begins with a line that carried the weight of a storm: "You were never the victim, you were the turning point." Those words were spoken by the same witness who had already shattered the darkness with revelations, but this time their voice held something new: certainty. They told you that after the events of last night, your special person didn't sleep, didn't eat, didn't breathe the same way. They were pacing the room, running their fingers through their hair, whispering your name under their breath like someone trying to hold on to the last piece of light before everything collapses. Because once the secret slipped out, once their actions were exposed, something hit them harder than any confrontation ever could: the realization that every step they took away from the truth took them one step closer to losing you forever. They didn't betray you for pleasure. They didn't do it for distraction. They did it because they were fighting a fear they never admitted. A fear of not being enough for you, of failing you, of losing control over a feeling too deep for their own courage to hold. And last night, that fear pushed them into a choice that betrayed the woman you used to be, the version of you who waited, trusted, and believed without hesitation. But here's where the story takes a sharp, breathtaking turn. The witness revealed that after the moment of betrayal, your special person didn't celebrate, didn't feel relieved, didn't walk away with a smile. Instead, they broke. Fully, completely, unexpectedly broke. They sat alone, replaying every memory of you in silence: the moments you laughed without knowing they were watching, the moments you spoke with a softness they didn't feel worthy of, the moments you forgave them when they barely forgave themselves. They remembered how your presence steadied them, how your trust sheltered them, how your heart became the only safe place they ever had. And that's when the truth cut them open. They hadn't betrayed another woman, they had betrayed the woman who believed in them more than they believed in themselves. And that betrayal didn't haunt them because of guilt, it haunted them because they realized that hurting you felt like hurting a part of their own soul. The witness described how your special person's hands were shaking, how their eyes were red, how every breath felt heavy like they were trying to hold back a storm from escaping their chest. They cried not because they were caught, but because the moment they saw the truth through someone else's eyes, they finally understood the magnitude of what they risked. The night that started as a mistake became a mirror, forcing them to see the version of themselves they never wanted you to meet. And now comes the part that will set the stage for everything that follows. The witness leaned closer to you, choosing every word with precision, as if each one carried the power to shift fate. They're coming to you. Not with excuses. Not with half-truths. Not with stories built to protect their image. They're coming with the truth that kept them awake, the truth that tore through their chest, the truth that made them realize that losing you would be the greatest tragedy of their life. They want to confess every detail: what happened, why it happened, what they felt before, during, and after. Not because they expect forgiveness, but because hiding anything now feels like losing you twice. And the witness told you something even more startling: your special person believes that last night wasn't the end, it was the beginning. The beginning of a truth they should have spoken long ago. The beginning of a change they're finally ready to make. The beginning of a moment where they stop running from their own emotions and start facing the person who became the anchor of their world, you. What happens next isn't just part of the story, it decides the entire direction of your destiny and theirs. The next revelation, the next meeting, the next confession, everything is building toward a moment you never saw coming. And the next part will uncover the truth they were most afraid to tell. This part does not begin with a whisper or a warning, this part begins with a sentence that felt like a door being kicked open in the middle of the night. The truth they're carrying isn't just a confession, it's a truth that will rewrite everything you thought you understood. Because while you spent the night trying to steady your breath, your special person spent theirs unraveling every memory, every promise, every moment that led them to this breaking point. By dawn, they weren't the same person who stumbled into that mistake. Something inside them shifted. Their fear cracked open. Their walls collapsed. And for the first time, they were ready to face not the version of you who trusted blindly, but the version of you who stands tall today, sharper, wiser, stronger. They realized they weren't just trying to explain what happened last night, they were preparing to reveal something they had hidden long before the betrayal ever occurred, something that scared them far more than losing their pride, the depth of their feelings for you. Because last night didn't just expose their weakness. It exposed their truth. And that truth is racing toward you like a storm desperate to be seen. The witness, who had now become the unexpected bridge between the two of you, told you something that made your heartbeat shift like a sudden drop in gravity. You're the only one who can decide how this ends, but they're the only one who knows how it really began. Those words hit differently. They carried weight, history, and something that felt like unfinished destiny. The witness described how your special person practiced their confession over and over, whispering lines into the empty air, trying to find the courage buried beneath their regret. They weren't trying to impress you. They weren't aiming to win you back with dramatic words. They just wanted one thing, to finally stop hiding behind their own fears. Every detail of last night had already broken them, but the truth they were preparing to reveal now was something deeper, heavier, older. Something they had been running from for months, maybe even years. Something that explains why their emotions twisted into mistakes, why their love turned into fear, why their honesty turned into hesitation. And as the witness spoke, you felt something strange. Your pain was real, yes, but it was beginning to merge with curiosity, with anticipation, with the faint spark of something you didn't expect to feel so soon, readiness. Readiness to hear. Readiness to confront. Readiness to finally understand. And now, here is the moment the story has been building toward. The witness said they left your special person standing alone, rehearsing the truth they never wanted to say but can no longer keep locked inside. They're on their way to you, right now, in this very moment. Their steps may be slow, their chest may be tight, but their intention is clear. They aren't coming to justify. They aren't coming to negotiate. They aren't coming to pretend. They're coming because the truth they've been hiding goes deeper than any betrayal could reach. It's the truth about why they fear losing you more than losing themselves. It's about the real reason last night happened, the reason that doesn't excuse the pain but reveals the hidden wound behind it. And in the next part, when their confession finally unfolds, you will hear the piece of the story that changes everything, the part even the witness didn't fully understand. The part your special person has never spoken out loud. The part that will make you see the entire night through a new lens. The final layer of the truth is coming, and it's unlike anything you imagined. The next chapter of this night doesn't begin with footsteps or apologies, it begins with a line that carried the force of a heartbeat finally speaking after being silent for too long. I never betrayed you. I betrayed the truth I should have told you from the beginning. Those were the first words your special person rehearsed 100 times before gathering the strength to face you. And the moment they stood in front of you, eyes tired, breath shaky, hands trembling. They weren't the same person who made the mistake last night. Something in them looked wounded, raw, terrified, yet determined. They weren't scared of your anger. They weren't scared of your silence. They were scared of something much deeper. The possibility that you might listen to their truth and still walk away. Before they spoke another word, they took a breath so deep it felt like the air around you froze. Because what they were about to reveal wasn't an excuse, wasn't a defense, wasn't a manipulation. It was the truth that explains everything: why they hesitated, why they panicked, why they let fear twist them into someone they weren't proud of. And as they stood there, the weight of their next sentence hovered between you like the edge of a cliff. They told you that the betrayal didn't begin last night. It began long before that, on the day they realized how deeply they felt for you. They said they had never experienced a love that made them question their own worth. With you, every emotion intensified. Every moment mattered. Every silence became meaningful. And instead of embracing it, they became afraid of it. Afraid that they weren't enough. Afraid that one day you'd see their flaws and leave. Afraid that someone better would appear and take the place they didn't believe they deserved. That fear became a shadow following them everywhere. It convinced them that you loved too deeply, trusted too freely, believed too strongly, things they didn't feel worthy of. And last night, when the pressure of that fear grew too heavy, they made a choice that reflected not who they are, but what they feared most. They weren't running toward another woman, they were running away from the version of themselves they thought wasn't capable of holding your love. And the person they betrayed wasn't a stranger. It was you, the version of you who believed they were stronger than their fears. Their voice cracked when they admitted this, because saying it out loud made the truth feel real. They were never scared of losing you, they were scared of not deserving you in the first place. Then came the part that shifted everything. They looked directly at you, no defenses, no walls, no masks, and revealed the final piece of the truth that had been eating them alive. They said someone confronted them last night, someone who saw everything, someone who held the mirror they couldn't escape. That witness didn't just tell you the truth, they told them the truth too. They told your special person that if they lost you, it wouldn't be because of what happened last night. It would be because they kept hiding how deeply they felt for you. And that's when your special person's entire world cracked open. The tears, the shaking, the regret, it wasn't just guilt. It was the realization that they loved you so deeply it terrified them into breaking the very thing they wanted to protect. And now, standing in front of you, they weren't asking for forgiveness. They weren't asking for a second chance. They were asking for one thing only. The chance to show you the truth they buried for so long. The confession that was supposed to stay hidden. The feeling that changed their life the moment they met you. And in the next part, they will finally say the words they've been holding back since the very beginning, words that will flip the entire story into a meaning far bigger than betrayal. This part opens with a sentence that didn't sound like a confession, it sounded like a truth breaking free after years of being buried alive. I didn't lose control last night. I lost the battle with a feeling I've been hiding from you since the first day. The moment those words left their mouth, the air shifted. Your special person's voice wasn't shaking anymore, it was steady in a way that only comes when someone finally decides to stop running from themselves. Their eyes locked onto yours, not with desperation, but with a rawness you had never seen before. They said the woman who was betrayed wasn't a rival, wasn't someone else, wasn't a hidden chapter. The woman was the version of you who gave without asking, trusted without hesitation, and loved without conditions. They said they felt unworthy of that version of you, and instead of stepping up, they stepped back, straight into a moment that broke the foundation between you. And then came the truth they had never dared to admit: it wasn't another woman they escaped to last night, it was the Fae. Of the intensity of their own feelings for you. They said every time they felt you getting closer, every time you showed them more care, every time you trusted them a little deeper, their heart panicked. Not because something was wrong with you, but because everything was overwhelmingly right. That rightness terrified them more than loneliness ever did. And last night, when everything felt too real, too deep, too powerful, they made the worst decision of their life. Not because they wanted to hurt you, but because they didn't know how to handle loving someone who mattered more than anything else in their world. The witness, yes, the same person who told you the truth, had confronted your special person after everything collapsed. And what they said didn't just expose the mistake, it exposed the truth your special person had been avoiding. They told them that running away from love only breaks the person who loves genuinely. They told them that fear doesn't justify choices, but it explains the wounds hiding underneath them. They told them that the reason their actions felt so wrong is because they weren't built for betrayal, they were built for loyalty, for intensity, for connection. And hearing that forced your special person to break in a way they hadn't broken before. They admitted something that stunned even the witness. That the moment they realized what they had done last night, the pain they felt wasn't guilt alone, it was the fear that you would finally believe the lie they always told themselves, that they were not enough for you. They described how your special person sat in silence afterward, holding their head, trying to rewrite time, trying to take back the one moment that didn't reflect who they truly are. They didn't cry because they were exposed. They cried because the thought of losing you felt like losing the only place their heart had ever felt safe. And when they stood up and decided to come to you, they weren't coming as someone who made a mistake, they were coming as someone ready to face the truth of their own emotions for the first time. And now comes the moment this entire story has been leading toward, the moment your special person finally spoke the words they had hidden in fear, hesitation, and self-doubt. Standing in front of you, they didn't tremble, didn't look away, didn't hide behind excuses. Their voice dropped to a quiet, steady tone as they said the truth that rewrote everything. They never betrayed you because of desire, because of distraction, or because of someone else. They betrayed the truth they should have given you, the truth that they love you in a way they never loved anyone before. They said their feelings for you weren't ordinary. They weren't manageable. They weren't simple. They were overwhelming. Consuming. Transforming. And instead of embracing it, they feared it so deeply that they acted in a way that didn't reflect their heart at all. The real mistake wasn't the moment, they said the real mistake was not telling you what you mean to them when they had the chance. The real betrayal wasn't breaking a promise, it was staying silent about how deeply they felt for you. And now, with everything exposed, everything uncovered, everything laid bare, they finally confessed the truth that changes the entire direction of this story. That loving you is the one thing they can't run from anymore. The next part of this story will reveal the moment that shifts everything, the choice you make, the consequence of their truth, and the unexpected turn that neither of you saw coming.